Hello, I will be reading Picasso and the Girl with the Ponytail. It was the first day of summer. Sauvette and her friends were sitting on the terrace in the sun. Sauvette was so shy that she always sat a little apart, but she listened to every word. Have you heard? Picasso is staying right here in Valeris. It's incredible, the most famous artist in the world. Every picture he paints is worth a fortune. I heard he had a huge white car sent from America in exchange for just one painting. Sauvette was very interested. Secretly, she dreamed of becoming an artist. In a suitcase under her bed was a sketchbook full of her drawings. All her secrets were locked inside that suitcase, things no one else had ever seen. Suddenly, Sauvette noticed something absolutely amazing. Right in front of her eyes, a beautiful picture had appeared above the terrace wall. Look, shouted her friends, it's Sauvette! Only Sauvette has a ponytail like that. Sauvette hid her face in her hands. She heard a roar of laughter from behind the hall. They all ran to look. They saw a man holding the picture above his head. He was short but very muscular. He wore a striped shirt, shorts, and a pair of bedroom slippers. It was Picasso! I saw you all from my studio, he laughed, and I made a sketch. Come on, why don't you visit me? Sauvette was last inside the door, her heart beating like a drum. The studio was a treasure house, as if the artist had never thrown away a single thing. Every surface was piled with bits and pieces, tins of paint, scraps of wood, strange sculptures, children's toys, broken pots, a cowboy hat, flowers, painted plates, a boomerang, fish bones, a clown's mask, a birdcage, guitars, a bullfighter's sword. And more than anything else, Sauvette saw paintings, hundreds and hundreds of them, each one signed with a single word, Picasso. Picasso was still laughing. He was 73 years old, but he acted like a young boy. Now then, he shouted, I will draw one person. Who will it be? One of Sauvette's friends stepped forward quickly. She was very beautiful. You can draw me, Mr. Picasso, she said. I will sit for you. Picasso looked at her quite fiercely. No, he said, you saw my picture outside. I have chosen the girl with the ponytail. Sauvette felt a bit sick. She wanted to run straight out of the door, but Picasso was very kind. It's all right, he said gently. You can trust me. Come on and sit down. Sauvette is too shy, teased her friends, and too dreamy as well. That's good, laughed the artist. Then we will get along, because Picasso is a dreamer too. Come back another time, he called to Sauvette's friends. Sauvette and I have work to do. Picasso looked carefully at Sauvette. She was shivering. Here, borrow this coat, he said. Then he began to draw. The first drawing was slow and careful, a delicate pencil study. The second picture was larger, Sauvette as still and nervous as a wild deer. Then Picasso began to work faster and faster. The pictures grew larger and more strange. Picasso was enjoying himself. At the end of the day, Sauvette ran home. She took out her sketchbook, but her head was spinning, and none of her drawings came out right. The next morning, Sauvette returned nervously to the studio. Perhaps Picasso had forgotten her, but he opened the door and grinned at her like a schoolboy. Little by little, the paintings became more daring and more extraordinary. Little by little, Sauvette became less shy. Picasso seemed to change every moment, just like his pictures. He was as proud as a king, he painted like a magician, and yet he liked to dress up and play games. Sometimes he put on funny hats or masks to make Sauvette laugh. He told her about the animals he had owned. Dogs, a goat who was allowed to sleep indoors, and a bad-tempered monkey. Once he had even kept an owl. Of course, Picasso had painted them all. All through the summer, Picasso created pictures of Sauvette and sculptures in cardboard and metal. As the work became bigger and bolder, she became braver too. Sauvette's father had left home when she was small, but for that summer, Picasso was like a father to her. Shy Sauvette, with the most famous painter in the world, it was a real fairy tale. One day, Sauvette plucked up her courage and showed Picasso her secret sketchbook. She told him about her dream of becoming an artist. Picasso didn't laugh or tease her. That is good, he said loudly, but you have to be brave and learn to let go. Look at me. When I am angry, I make angry pictures. When I am sad, my pictures are sad too. And when I am happy, my painting is full of joy. Even my dreams are in my work. There can be no secrets in painting. That afternoon, a photographer came to the studio. Sauvette hated having her photo taken. She wanted to hide away. Then she saw Picasso making funny faces at the camera, and suddenly it didn't seem so bad. The man took dozens of pictures of Picasso and Sauvette beside the paintings. Her friends couldn't believe their eyes. Shy Sauvette on the front cover of a famous magazine, and before long, every magazine wanted a picture of Picasso's new model. Girls in Paris and London were even copying her hairstyle. They all wanted a Sauvette ponytail. Sauvette cut out all the photographs and locked them carefully in her suitcase. Sometimes Picasso worked late into the night. Once Sauvette saw him behind the studio, in the middle of a pile of garbage, hunting for interesting objects. The richest artist who ever lived made sculptures from old junk. Sauvette had seen some of them in magazines: a baboon with 2 toy cars for a face, a bull's head made from a bicycle seat and handlebars. Sauvette loved watching Picasso work. Paintings, sculptures, and painted pots poured from him like a volcano. At last, Picasso started a huge sculpture of Sauvette, with old pieces of pottery for the arms and legs. It had a long neck and a round bag just like hers, but the head was so strange. Sauvette didn't think it looked like her at all. As she watched, Sauvette had a sad feeling that this would be the last time Picasso would use her as his model. Since the day on the terrace, she had been in his work. Soon it would all fade like the summer. While Picasso worked, Sauvette began telling him her secrets. She talked about the time her father had gone away. Sauvette kept a special picture of him in her suitcase, but she had never told anyone how hurt and lonely she had been. Picasso looked up at her with burning black eyes. "It is very hard when people move apart," he said. "But try to remember, with every door that closes, a new door opens." It began to grow dark. As they looked at the sculpture, Sauvette told Picasso a secret she had locked away and tried to forget. She talked about the man who had come to live with her mother, a loud, unpleasant bully. Sauvette was sometimes so unhappy that she wanted to run away. Picasso looked at her kindly. Then he jumped up. "You have given me an idea," he said. "I knew something was missing from the sculpture. Sauvette must hold something in her hand." Picasso began searching through bits and pieces on a table. He tipped out a drawer into the floor. At last he found what he wanted. In her hand, Picasso announced, "Sauvette holds a key." He pushed a big iron key into the hand of the sculpture. Sauvette looked puzzled. She has a key because she has so many secrets locked away. Picasso fixed the key in place with some plaster. But she also has a key, listen, Sauvette, to open new doors. Then Picasso reached out his hand white with plaster and gently touched Sauvette's face. "Look, it is finished. The girl with the key. Now, Sauvette, I would like to give you a present. You may choose any picture you like. Perhaps it will help to open some doors for you." When Sauvette stepped out of Picasso's studio for the last night, she was carrying the very first picture. She held it carefully because the paint on the signature was not quite dry. For Sauvette, from Picasso, a beautiful picture of the girl with the ponytail. After that summer, Sauvette began to paint as bravely as Picasso had taught her. Gradually, she became a well-known artist herself. When the pictures Picasso gave her were sold, Sauvette had enough money to pay for a beautiful apartment of her own, with space for a real studio, high on the top floor with views across the whole of Paris. Sauvette ran up the stairs. She turned the key and opened the door. Pablo Picasso was born in Spain in 1881, the son of an art teacher. He could draw before he could speak, and by the time he was 12, he had started to produce astonishingly skillful oil paintings. Throughout his long life, his output in every medium was matched only by the extraordinary range of his styles. From delicate etchings to massive and terrifying paintings like Guernica, Picasso's work was always pioneering and brutally honest. Picasso bought a house in Valaris in the south of France. Here, in 1954, he caught sight of a beautiful, shy teenager, Sauvette David. In a typically frenzied burst of creative energy, Picasso produced more than 40 images of the girl with a ponytail, who became an international icon. This was a turbulent time for Picasso. He had recently separated from Françoise Grillat and met his wife, Jacqueline Roch, at a pottery in Valaris. For one summer, Sauvette was Picasso's platonic muse. He always treated her with kindness and respect. The following year, Picasso had a big exhibition of his Sauvette paintings in Paris. Visitors were amazed to see how the work had grown from the first delicate drawing to the sculpture of the girl with the key. But it didn't stop there. A few years later, 2 concrete sculptures of Sauvette, each as big as a house, were built to Picasso's designs in Holland and New York. Picasso produced more than 30,000 original works. He died in 1973 at age 92, one of the most famous artists in the world. Sauvette David, now Lydia Corbet, lives and paints in the west of England. Her beautiful pictures and wood sculptures can be seen at the Francis Kyle Gallery in London. Okay, thank you for listening so much to me reading Picasso and the Girl with the Ponytail.